Matthew Stafford, Super Bowl champion, comeback player of the year, two-time Pro Bowl selection. He has had an incredible NFL career and has long been expected to be a good pro. Mel Kiper predicted that he'd be the first pick at the NFL draft before he even played a snap at Georgia. That's how good Stafford was expected to be, and he's lived up to expectations. He's been a good pro and was good in college, once a first-team All-American. Now Stafford is thrown for 56,000 yards and 357 touchdowns, but he was once a high school recruit. He was highly touted, but not number one. So, who was rated higher than Matthew Stafford? Percy Harvin was the top recruit in the 2006 recruiting class. He played at Lansdowne High in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Harvin ran track, played basketball and football. He was a great wide receiver and running back, known for his speed. As a senior, he had 75 catches for 1,313 yards and 17 touchdowns, and rushed for 504 yards and 11 touchdowns. On the track, he won 5 state championships and set a state record in the 200 meters. He played in the All-American Bowl and had big offers like USC, Michigan, Miami, and Florida State. Harvin decided to play for Urban Meyer at Florida. He made an immediate impact as a freshman, recording 34 receptions for 427 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he rushed for 428 yards and 3 touchdowns. He won SEC Freshman of the Year and had a role for the Gators, who won the national championship over Ohio State. That wasn't the Tim Tebow season, it was Chris Leak. Harvin had an even bigger role in 2007, the year Tebow won the Heisman Trophy. He had 59 receptions for 858 yards and 4 touchdowns, and added 764 yards and 6 touchdowns rushing. Harvin was a first-team All-American, but the best was yet to come. As a junior, he was a first-team All-American again after he had 40 catches for 644 yards and 7 touchdowns, and rushed for 660 yards and 10 touchdowns. Again, Florida won the national championship. Harvin decided to declare for the NFL draft. He ended up going at number 22 to the Vikings. There were some concerns about his durability, which was fair, but he made a splash in the pros fast. He won Offensive Rookie of the Year after he had 790 yards and 6 touchdowns on 60 receptions. He also rushed for 135 yards and 2 touchdowns, and had 2 kick return touchdowns. He ended up making the Pro Bowl as a returner. His first 3 years in Minnesota were really good. He had more than 1,000 all-purpose yards each season, but he had a ton of injury issues along the way. 2012 was his last with the Vikings. He only played in 9 games before landing on injured reserve because of an ankle injury. Harvin still had almost 700 yards and 3 touchdowns receiving, 100 yards and a touchdown rushing, and 500 yards and a touchdown kick returning. Then he was traded to the Seahawks for a first-round pick, a third, and a 7th. He only played 1 game in the regular season, but he did play in the postseason, and he had a kick return touchdown to start the second half of Super Bowl 48 to help Seattle win a ring. Harvin was traded the next season to the Jets for a conditional pick, and then he spent 2 seasons on the Bills. He did retire in 2016, but returned only to retire again a year later. Andre Smith was an incredible offensive line recruit. He played at Huffman High in Birmingham, Alabama, where he was on the track and field team too. He was a 3-year starter on the gridiron and was a 2-time All-State selection. Smith had 88 pancake blocks as a senior and was selected to play in the All-American Bowl. He committed to play at Alabama pre-Nick Saban. It was actually Mike Shula who got fired during his freshman year. As a true freshman, Smith started in every game at left tackle and had 62 pancake blocks. What's crazy is he actually scored a touchdown off of a lateral in the Independence Bowl. He went on to be a first-team All-SEC selection the next 2 seasons. As a junior, he was a unanimous All-American, and he won the Outland Trophy, given to the best interior lineman in college football. Smith was so good. 103 key knockdowns, only 2 penalties, 1 sack allowed, 6 pressures. He was suspended for what would have been his last last collegiate game, the 2009 Sugar Bowl. Then he declared for the NFL draft and was a lock to be a high pick. He definitely then hurt his draft stock by disappearing from the NFL Combine and reportedly showed up out of shape. He ran a very slow 5.28 40-yard dash. His pro day at Alabama wasn't exactly impressive either. Smith did still go high, 6th overall to the Bengals. He missed a lot of his rookie season because of a fractured foot. He fractured his foot again in 2010 too. He only played in 13 games over his first 2 seasons in the NFL, and then Smith broke out. He only missed 2 games over the following 3 seasons while playing right tackle, protecting Andy Dalton. He earned a 3-year, $18 million deal in 2013. In 2014, he missed the preseason due to concussion and only played in 9 games, missing time because of a tricep injury. He spent 2015 in Cincinnati and signed a 1-year deal with the Vikings in 2016, but only played in 4 games before a season-ending tricep injury. Smith returned back to the Bengals and played 13 games there in 2017. He then signed a 2-year deal with the Cardinals in 2018, but was cut following the regular season, and again, he returned to Cincinnati. Smith decided to opt out of the 2020 season due to COVID, and he was last active for 5 games with the Ravens in 2021 after being elevated off of the practice squad. Beanie Wells, or Chris Wells, was a stud running back coming out of Garfield High School in Akron, Ohio. He ran a 4.48 40-yard dash as a senior. He had offers from other top programs like USC and Michigan, but decided to stay in state to play for the Buckeyes and Jim Tressel. His freshman year was the season Troy Smith won the Heisman Trophy. Ohio State was really good, and Beanie rushed 104 times for almost 600 yards and 7 touchdowns. He had a huge 52-yard touchdown run against Michigan, and what was one of the best games of the century. Ohio State was number 1 and Michigan was number 2 in the BCS rankings at the time. The Buckeyes ended up winning 42-39. Beanie became the Buckeyes starting running back as a sophomore after Antonio Pittman left for the draft. He really crushed Michigan in 2007 with 222 yards. Beanie ended up rushing for 1,600 yards and 15 touchdowns on 274 carries on the season and was named a second-team All-American. It ended up being his best year in college. He missed 3 games with a foot injury as a junior and finished with 207 attempts for 1,200 yards and 8 touchdowns. Beanie was named second-team All-Big Ten and declared for the 2009 NFL Draft, where he was a first-round pick to the Cardinals at 31. He played with Kurt Warner as a rookie, and he split carries with Tim Hightower, who is one of my favorite athletes ever. I got to watch him a ton at Richmond growing up. Wells had more carries than Hightower as a rookie, 176. He turned that into 800 yards and 7 touchdowns and was named to the All-Rookie team. Beanie dipped to 116 attempts for 400 yards and 2 touchdowns in 2010. His best season in the league was 2011 after Hightower left. He rushed for a single-game franchise record 228 yards against the Rams in Week 12. Beanie ended up rushing for over 1,000 yards and had 10 touchdowns on 246 attempts, all career highs. He missed a lot of time in 2012 because of turf toe and a knee injury. He had some issues with the team, and he even claimed the regular season finale was an audition for other teams despite still being under contract. Ken Wisenhunt benched him for the last game, and Beanie never played again. He was released and he tore his Achilles during a workout for the Ravens in October 2013. The top defensive recruit in the 2006 class was Gerald McCoy. He went to Southeast High in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and was a dominant defensive tackle. He was the Oklahoma Gatorade Player of the Year as a senior. He had 82 tackles and 9 sacks. McCoy had offers from LSU, Miami, Nebraska, USC, Notre Dame, Virginia Tech, go Hokies. He opted to stay in state though and play at Oklahoma for Bob Stoops. He redshirted in 2006. Then McCoy won Big 12 Defensive Freshman of the Year after he had 19 tackles and 2 sacks. He was even better the next season, 30 tackles, 6 sacks. He was named first team All Big 12. Then he was a consensus All-American as a junior after he had 34 tackles and 6 sacks. He helped OU to the national championship, but lost to Florida, McCoy ended up declaring for the 2010 NFL Draft and went 3rd overall to the Buccaneers. He suffered a bicep injury as a rookie and then only played in 6 games the following season. Then in 2012, he had 5 sacks and made the Pro Bowl and did again for the next 5 years. From 2012 to 2018, his last season in Tampa Bay, McCoy had 50.5 sacks. During the span, he was a first-team All-Pro and second-team All-Pro twice. McCoy dominated. He played 9 seasons for the Buccaneers and was released in 2019. He had 5 sacks on the Panthers in 2019. He only played 1 more career game after that. He signed a 3-year deal in Dallas, but he suffered a ruptured quad and was released. Then he signed with the Raiders and suffered a season-ending injury in the season opener. McCoy retired in 2022. Sergio Kindle went to Woodrow Wilson High in Dallas, Texas, where he played basketball and ran track. He was a beast linebacker. As a senior, he had 123 tackles and 14 sacks. He also played running back and rushed for 5,600 career yards and 86 touchdowns. He was named All-State on both offense and defense and played in the All-American Bowl. Kindle had offers from some big programs: USC, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Nebraska, but he chose to stay in-state and play at Texas for Mac Brown. He made an immediate impact as a freshman, contributing on special teams and as a backup linebacker. He had 21 tackles and 1 sack. As a sophomore, he recorded 32 tackles and 5 sacks. He was named first team All Big 12 for the first time. Then Kindle broke out as a junior. He played a bit of a hybrid defensive end linebacker role and was really good. 53 tackles, 10 sacks. He was named first team All Big 12 again. And then in 2009, he was named a second team All-American after he had 47 tackles and 6 sacks. Kindle had moved to defensive end after Brian Arakpo was drafted. Texas ended up making it all the way to the national championship, but lost to Alabama. Kindle declared for the 2010 NFL Draft and was considered a first-round talent, but his knee and some off-the-field problems just scared teams. He was arrested for drunk driving ahead of his sophomore season at Texas and was again in December 2010 in the league. Kindle was drafted in the 2nd round when the Ravens took him at 43, 1 pick after Rob Gronkowski. He actually missed training camp after he fell down 2 flights of stairs and fractured his skull. Kindle didn't play at all as a rookie. He played in 2 games in 2011 and 1 game in 2012 when he recorded his only career tackle. He was later waived and signed to the practice squad. Now, he was awarded a Super Bowl ring after the Ravens beat the 49ers. Today, Kindle is a defensive line coach at Woodrow Wilson High, and rated 1 spot behind him, Matthew Stafford.